are in San Fernando. This is my first time here in this beautiful center, so I want to say beautiful work here in San Fernando. I want to welcome all the guests of Sport and Community Development, and of course all our invited guests. I want to say good morning. My name is Brent Calendar. Some people call me Guy. I am here today as bridge, a host slash bridge, to have what I believe is a beautiful conversation that we should be having and should continue not only today, but for a long time and keep it flowing, because we need to support men with loudly. I believe that support as well, and we have to find them asking questions. How can we use them to get the best? And with me, I am pleased to say we have a great panel. I want to start from my left, which will be your right. I want to say good morning to Mr. Lionel Sampson, the deputy lead at the Ministry of Community Development. He's here with us today, so good morning to him. And right next to him, I want to welcome Miss Nicole Pickard, from Alta. She's she's here as well. We have Mr. Antonio Gomes, all right, from the Ministry of National Security and Probational Unit. And next to him, to my immediate left, I want to say good morning to Mr. Shiraz Mohammed, and he is from MIC, that's the Institute of Technology. And these people are here for us to have a beautiful conversation, as I said. Today's topic, nurturing boys and supporting young men, second chances, remedial learning, opportunities for self-development. And I want to let you know from off the cuff, we want your questions. We want to engage you, the audience. Feel free to ask anything with respect to the topic to any one of the panelists. I am just here to really make the conversation and this morning's proceedings quite comfortable. I understand that we're in a nice setting, it's air conditioned, you came up in an elevator. Some of you might have taken the stairs, but it doesn't mean that you have to be stiff. We want the conversation to be quite comfortable. Okay, just as you're sitting, so feel free to ask. So let me just kick things off by saying that conversation I was having with Mr. Samuel just before we got on top here. I believe men, your vulnerability is your superpower. And what I mean by that is we have to be comfortable having uncomfortable conversations as men. Feel free to speak up, and speak out. And today we're going to see how these agencies and all these agencies and stuff here can better help in getting that message across and making sure that we have better functional men in this sweet Trinidad today.
So the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, the Community Development Division, mounted this program to sensitize the wider community to have a conversation on various topics. Based on allocations, and so we were not able to have, the number of topics that we had desired, or even the reach in terms of multiple communities. And so we had to select some key conversations to start, and God willing, next year, please God, to be able to continue. These conversations are to bring that degree of sensitization to the areas, as well as inform, and even from there to be able to translate this information into our operations, whether it be a group or organization that we belong to, or whether we know someone that we can share the information with, or we can correct some issues that, as the saying goes, put out there. And this TT Community Voices essentially is of the mode of hearing some persons. They give the name subject matter experts, but I would want to say subject matter experience. So because we're experienced in the field, we can share some information, and we can also hear the perspectives from the audience, and we can also agree to disagree in certain areas, but of course, at the end of the day, chart a way forward. So today's conversation is on nurturing men, young men, boys, males, however you want to put it, and speaking from this issue of second chances. We celebrate those who come first in tests, but we do not celebrate those who make improvements, significant improvements. We speak about those who are able to have the frontline positions, as the case may be, and their traditional areas that we look at. But for the person who might be excelling in art or what may deem to be not too important, we sideline that. So how do we go about weighing these things? So this conversation says, here's what. Even though society and even coming home to your family setting, it may have not been the setting that should have nurtured young men, boys, as the case may be, in a manner that produces the positive changes. Here's what we can do. We can hear of agencies and we can hear of persons with experiences who can guide, who can make suggestions, who are in position to offer, whether from an academic standpoint or experiential standpoint. So we're hoping today that you are now able to now take the information, consider for yourselves, so because there may have been some misconceptions that persons may have held, and now be able now to inform in the various spaces that we are in. And of course, with that, feel free to, as it were, share concerns that you may have, and let's come up with workable solutions in going forward. It's nice when you have the pretty program and you hear the lectures and so, but what do we do with the information afterwards that brings the change? And to me, and for us at Community Development Division, we are very much concerned in having this conversation to bring towards change. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And staying right there, let me just go straight to Alta. Right? I want to ask, seeing that we're talking about men, we're talking about boys, you know, how is your organization assisting men and boys? Like, how can a man feel comfortable? Because you know, in this space that we're in, it's very uncomfortable for a man to come and say to you, I can't read. How do you broker that conversation? What are some of the ways that us here can approach a peer, a friend, a family member to get them the help that they need?
Shame associated with not being literate. And for men, it's particularly very difficult. And where I sit in my office, we have different generations, several generations of men that come to Alta. And from my experience, the men between 25 and 35, when I ask if they would like to share their stories, they don't. They are very hesitant. They don't want people to know that they cannot read. They don't want people to know that they cannot write. For men, I would say between the ages of 36 and 45, 50, they're even more hesitant as well. Somewhat, I would say, because they are seeking promotions in their jobs. They are coming to Alta to improve their literacy, and they want to be available for those opportunities when they arise. So they would not say anything. And the older men, I would say 50 and older, 60, 70, they are the ones that will more or less want to share their story because they want the new generation before them to know it is important, how important reading and writing is, and how important it is to be literate in our society. So if you go up on our website, on social media pages, Facebook, you will find those stories. To encourage them, share other male testimonies. Really important for them to know what other males are experiencing and going through as individuals who are not literate. Let them know their experiences so that they can relate to those stories, and they now can make a decision to go and improve their literacy. We have males in our classes from 16 years old to 71, 74, 75. And sometimes it is really heartwarming when they come and they share their stories and they tell you how Alta impacted their lives, how Alta has impacted their self-esteem and their self-confidence. Now that they can read their Bible, they can fill out their forms, they can do their own banking. So share their stories. It is difficult to encourage men to say they're not literate. Just like you said, they need to be vulnerable. It takes them a very long time. We don't want them to reach the stage where they're now in their 60s and 70s and they still can't read, they're struggling with literacy. We want to give them those second chances that you spoke about. So share the testimonies. Go up on our Facebook page. There are a lot of testimonies there from men, all generations, that you can share with your family and friends who cannot read.
Let me ask you this though. Has there ever been an instance where you encountered someone who is at the point where they can't even identify their own name?
Oh yes, I am a beginner tutor. I trained as a beginner tutor in 2017. Are you all hearing me? Yes. Going into a beginner classroom, we have had students who came in and they cannot spell their names, they don't know their address, they don't know their ID card number. Somebody have to do it for them. We will take the information and we'll write it down. And we start teaching from the very basics, right? We teach sight words, we teach them how to form their letters, we teach them phonic sounds, and we build from there for our beginner students. And from the beginner, once they improve and their performance, improves, they can go on to level 1, level 2, spelling, and level 3. That is if they stick with the program.
All right, Antonio, I'm coming to you. I just want to jump right here real quick to Mr. Mohammed. Listening to what she just said, you are part of an organization that does some amazing work. For those of you who don't know MIC, they teach basically everything under the sun in terms of trade and skill. You meet a young man who eager to learn, has a natural gift of talent with his hands, but he's in a situation where he's not literate, as she was just saying. How can somebody like that come and you could also assist in helping them get to where they want to go?
Right. Morning, sir. Morning, panel. Morning, audience. We at MIC are committed to providing any and all opportunities, not just for men, but for women as well. And not just in skills, sir. We have training courses for those that may be interested in food and nutrition, right? In communication, in IT, right? We have a lot of soft courses as well. But we do identify that some of them have needs like this. And therefore, we provide counseling services. We provide services that will coach them and guide them. We provide sporting opportunities as well. So if you are a young person and you find that you have a need, then you come to us and we will tailor it for you such that you will become a success later on in life.
Beautiful. So I purposely did that so that you can understand, because I know men sit in a space where they want to do it, and as she said before, shame is something associated with men. And I'll just tell you, it might sound just to go off the cuff, like for instance, if a woman is going through any sort of personal trauma, like something happened to her, she calls her girlfriend. You know this man do this, so. Men associate that with shame. It's very unlikely you're going to see a man picking up his phone to call his partner to go, hey John, so happened. So we need to, as I said at the beginning, get comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. If you know a family member, a friend, somebody in your community who's struggling with reading, they might want to tell you. I have a personal encounter with that. I remember I had a project one time where I had some men on the project, and it was time for identifying your name to sign off for you to come to get a document, AKAP. And that's where I first saw that there were some guys on the site who couldn't even identify how to find it, because you send them somewhere, just go read the list, fill out your name, pick up the form and come back. And they find it taking long, like, why are you taking so long? But they're ashamed to ask, so they're kind of looking at other people doing it, so they're guessing. And in guessing is when I realized that we had a problem. And today we're also talking about second chances. And how can someone who maybe stumble on hardships based on community, it's systemic. Some people are born into situations that are not their fault. You're born into an area, into a neighborhood, into a life that you didn't ask for, and you maybe at a young age, 14, 15, wrong crowd, wrong audience, you stumble upon something bad, and society deem it as that's it for you, a write-off. And we are here to talk about that there are chances and opportunities for a second chance. And how can, this is where I come to you, Antonio, as a probation officer, somebody who's dealing with a young man who, you see the potential, but he's in an environment that every time he goes left, the environment kind of pulling him back on the other side. How do you bridge that and have conversations with them? And what are some of the things family members could do, or people in the community, to try and help somebody like that?
So it's very interesting that you bring it up, because what tends to happen is that let's say that our child, a person, anybody who commits a crime, they end up before the court. And probation, the role that we play is that, we will produce reports to the court. And we don't just decide, well, here, what now? We're just going to talk to a few persons. You talk to the parents, you talk to the school, you talk to the persons around the community, you talk to the person themselves, you formulate your report. Based on that report, you understand the circumstances. We even have to talk to the police about certain matters. What tends to happen is that sometimes things happen. So I will give you a very short example. We have children, possession of ammunition. They will be in possession of ammunition in very simple ways. For example, a friend would have come and said, hold something for me. They would take it. Next thing you know, police come into the door. As simple as that. And the thing is, it is our job at probation to understand, well, okay, you know what? Just young people being young people, brain not developed yet, they will take riskier chances. That is just science there. That is just what the literature says. And because of that now, we will make the recommendation, well, here's what now. The child or the person really engage in something, some kind of activity, let's give them a second chance. So under probation, you have anywhere between 1 year and 3 years of probation where we monitor you. And not only do we monitor you, we put a person in certain programs. So we will identify needs. Because many a times, as you all rightfully said, we have some persons who come, they might just put an X by their name. They don't know how to sign their own names. All right? And this is why it is, at probation, we have to now mix and mingle with all other organizations. Because sometimes you realize, one hand will clap. Yeah. We have to do it together. And as my colleague would have done this morning, a national pride thing. Sometimes, young persons, they didn't grow up in our time. They don't know anything about this. What is this nationalism that it is we're talking about? They don't know anything about that, about coming together. So this is where now we now have to come, well, particularly in probation, we come together and say, well, okay, these are the needs of some of our young people, or some of even our older probationers, because we get probationers as young as 16, 17, 18, right?
You up now? Check. I was just about to ask, is there age? Like, well, how let's say we have an unruly 13-year-old and got into some problems. Can a 13-year-old be on probation?
Well, a 13-year-old can be on probation, but these things are subject to the court. So what will happen is we will make certain recommendations. So, for example, based on the investigations, we might realize, well, okay, this child is 13. If he is 13, there are other things that is going on there. There are familiar things that is happening. There are psychological things that are happening. There's financial things that are happening. Why is this child doing these things? Because we have situations where, another example, a child stole something from a store. Why did you steal? There was nothing at home to eat. So therefore, we could even go so far as to say, maybe this child this crime is not even something that needs to be there. So what part probation really does as well, we also have community service as well. So we may find maybe probation is something that is not necessary, but you did commit a particular crime. Let's give you an opportunity to try and clear the record, do what it is you have to do, give back to the community and resolve what is happening. But in our investigation, in all the things that it is we do at probation, what tends to happen is that it's not just criminogenic needs or something that is happening. These persons are criminals, we have to manage with them. There are a whole lot of other needs and very basic needs too. Persons don't have birth papers. Persons don't have ID cards. Persons don't have access to schooling, funding. So therefore, we now have to refer. We have a National Family Services. Normally, we refer back to the court, refer to, Serval. We refer to ALTA as well, to see how it is we could develop. Because part of it, as we mentioned here, is not only second chance, but development. So that's what it is we do here at probation.
All right, nice.
Well done.
Yeah? Well, feel free.
Morning.
So I know with young men, preferably simple street languages, you know what goes on up there.
Yes.
Well done.
My biggest concern, however,
Yes.
My biggest concern, however, based on what you have said, is that as much as you say, I think one of our biggest problems is that we don't have enough space in the prison that rehabilitates, especially young men. Because I have a few boys who got in petty trouble, and they were in cells with men who are really murderers, waiting until their court case comes, and then they don't come back out the same. So these are one of my biggest concerns, especially in terms of your probation period. How long would you say it takes for you to reevaluate a person to know that, hey, this measure may be too drastic based on maybe the age, based on maybe where he comes from, or stuff like that?
Okay, so what tends to happen, well, the probationary period, even though we recommend probation, because what happens is at the end of probation, they will seal the matter. They will say that, oh, well, you know what, the person has done their time, that is it for them. It's up to the judicial officer to decide how much, because, you know, behind the background of it, there's a defense attorney, there's DPP's office, there's a whole lot of different things, all right? Dependent on the age as well, too. So what happened is there's probation that deals with, there's probation officers and children's probation officers. So probation officers tend to deal with family court, district court, magistrates court, family court. Children's probation officers will specifically deal with children's matters. So the thing is, as far as I know, legally speaking, we're not supposed to be mixing minors with adults. So if it is minors, it means that they will have to go to YTRC.
No, well,
right?
I mean,
when it is you talk about children, it's like 19, 20.
Well, my boys are like 18, 19 now, so I still look at them as babies older. I'm not that old. I'm only 28 years of age, but I have been doing it for the past 6 years.
Okay, I understand.
So when I look at them, I still see babies. Like, 3 of my boys got killed within the past 2 years just because they are from St. Paul Street selling water in Port of Spain.
I'm actually familiar with that specific case.
Right.
Because what is happening with that particular case, he has brothers, and it is so funny because his brothers are currently before the court.
I know.
Right?
I know.
And it's funny enough that you're here because these are the cases that we are having some challenges managing with, because the thing is, how do we now bring resources to that community, because that is also a quote-unquote hot area. Because sometimes now, whenever it is we want to do psychological interventions with that specific community, we have to utilize Bethel Street Police Station, right? So that we could bring the persons there to do things there. But there are challenges because there's a stigma attached to the community, right? So what we do is, for example, we try to get them the services that they need as safely as they can, because persons from particular communities in Port of Spain, they cannot go in certain parts of Port of Spain.
They can't.
Right? As you rightfully said, they can be killed. That is the reality of it.
Yeah.
So because of that now, we now have to now, as similarly as you know, with Alta and stuff like that, we have to now provide things virtually, because that is what it is we could do for the time being, right? And as well, you know, we have to utilize our Bethel Street Police Station as well, because other than that, we have to go into the community. Now, as far as I know, I've been in and out of the community. It is a lovely community, you know, right? I don't have a problem going in and out, right? And you see the color of my skin here. No problem. All right? But the thing is, it's a very real reality as we're talking about with this whole entire forum here.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Sometimes we don't have access to resources. That specific family, mother is not there.
She passed
She
away.
passed away. The stepfather was incarcerated. The biological father is in Guyana.
And you know what's the funny thing about it? The one that they killed was the one that was
Was
holding the
supporting
family
everybody
together.
Correct. And he
They're
was
my
in.
boys.
Yes, and I appreciate that you're doing what it is you can for them.
Thank you.
You have somebody behind.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
My name is Natasha Piper. I am from the community of 6 Company, and I represent a youth group called EPIC, Explosive Personalities in Christ. My question this morning, we are receiving the information, which is appreciated, and understanding what you all are saying. So going back to the community to take this information, and I say to the young men or the older men, listen, it is important that you learn to read. I am trying to pass on the information, right? So they hear the information, but how do I get them to say, okay, I want to better myself, or how do I get them to take that step to, probably attend altar classes or any of the opportunities that is offered to them. Because even though they might receive the information, we don't know where the literacy level is in the sense of, okay, let me do this. Because it's not like I will take back this information and they say, yeah, that's a good thing. I'm going to join altar, I'm going to join MIC. How do I influence them to want that, to want to access it, to want a better self, to, just want to give it a shot? How do I get them to take a second chance on themselves?
That is something very difficult because the individual, it all depends on the person's mindset and their desire to make a difference or have a change in their life, right? All we can really do is to give them the information. At the end of the day, they have to make the decision for themselves. We have students who come through the program, they sign up, they start, from day one they will drop out, right? Or they will drop out at the end of the term. We have dedicated and committed tutors who will call them, find out what's going on. We know with adults, life happens, right? We know with adults. The best thing we can do is continue to give them the information that they will need. One day, just one day, they will decide, okay, let me try this altar program. We had a student, we became very good friends, and he was in his 70s, and his wife was the one kept encouraging him, why don't you try altar? Why don't you try altar? It took him years. Then one day, one of our representatives came to their church and they spoke about the altar program, and he decided he's going to sign up. He became one of our biggest advocates for altar because he was now able to read his Bible. So they just keep the information before them all the time, bring it before them, so that one day something will click and they will realize, hey, I need this program. Let me try altar. Right? So invite our ambassadors into your community, to your churches, to your schools, PTA meetings, and let's have a conversation. Let's talk about literacy, right? Because you may have parents who are within your PTAs who are struggling with literacy as well. Their children are struggling with literacy. Let's talk to your parents, let's talk to your teachers, let's talk to your pastors, let's talk to your community, and keep the information before them always. One day, they will make the decision to make that change in their life.
And it's a continuous struggle, what you're speaking about. And I will say one of the first approaches is honesty. We need to be honest, one with ourselves and to the people that we're communicating with, and leave the line of communication open always. Because as she just said, you have to find a way. I work with a lot of boys as well, right? Between 14 and 25. And my mission has always been, you have to find the medium, find the things that they're interested in, and that is what you use to communicate with them, right? It could be music. If they enter a particular type of music, you use that as a channel to have the conversation. And in that space is when you be vulnerable and honest and let them know, listen, if you have any issues and anything is happening to you, feel free to come and be the vessel for them to be comfortable enough to come and talk to you, because with men it's very different. As I said from the beginning, women have a ways and natural knack to communicate with the next woman and share with, but fellas operate in a space of shame. So we have to make it easy for them. And one of the things that we do, men don't really say much, the backbone is really women, because if you check it out, for the morning thus far, the two women who stood and spoke is two women who stand up and talk, and they're doing programs to help men, right? And the person who is here from altar to help men read is a woman again, right? And if you're being fair...
And most of our tutors are females.
Right, and if you're being fair, the matriarch of a home is what really keeps it together. Again, woman. So we have to lean into that, be comfortable, and we have to also show, what I tell my men, is always give respect where it's due. And we thank you, women, for being that backbone and for helping. I'm seeing somebody else here. Yeah.
Special good morning. Nice seminar. And I think valuable information is being shared here, but I hope that it could reach back the relevant authorities so that some kind of intervention could be done. But the first speaker there was a little taken back when she said 18 and 19-year-old and she treated them as babies. All right? In today's society in Trinidad, be very skeptical about that. I represent Kunjal Community Council, a rural community, but lots of problems. I have a plethora of issues here. I will take all because I don't want to look like I'm coming up to the mic very often, because we have quite a lot of people here who would like to share concerns about their community. First and foremost, these kinds of social programs, you have a problem with confidentiality, right? Especially in the police service. And I am part of a police council, and a gentleman he dropped out of the police council. Because by the time he made the report in the station and he reached back home, the neighbor was ready for him, right? For making that kind of. So with all different programs, you'll find young men very skeptical to go and make reports for the fact that confidentiality, and you have stigmatization. I think I heard that word came up, that you're getting nobody on that 30, from 20 to 30, to go to the station and a man making a report about domestic violence, being abused by his wife. How often would that come up? Right, we know we have the single parents, the male husband association, or whatever it is, all right? We see them trying, right? So my second point is timely intervention. When a report is made, how long it takes before intervention is made. And a typical example, we heard the lady with the 2 children, sad to say, who died in the water tank. And I don't have all the information, it's just what I read on Facebook last night. It was reported to the social division in Tobago. What was done to that young lady and her 2 children? So that's what I'm saying, timely intervention. Bureaucracy and red tape and paperwork and referrals are made. Takes too long. I come from the teaching fraternity, and sometimes we make a referral of a child in standard 1, and intervention is made quite in standard 4 and standard 5. When the child ready to write SCA, too late, all right? So the bureaucracy and the paperwork and the intervention. Lots of youths are exposed to the social ills in society. And to get a young man to go and learn a trade or to do something in agriculture to better himself, because not everybody is academically inclined. We need the tradesman, we need the agriculturist, we need everybody. In every work there is innate dignity, right? Because as I always say, the first person we will miss, but we don't really look up to, is when the garbage man don't pass by our house when he has to take up the rubbish. We look into call the councillor and the MP, and because it starts to smell, and we can't take on the stench. That person does a job, and there is innate dignity, and he's very important. And no young boy, I want to learn a trade because it have easier ways to make money, right? And we all know about it. And then they come on the job, they got a job, but they want to work by 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, they want to go home. All right? So the exposure of these youths to the social ills in society. And then again we look, 2 parents versus 1 parent upbringing, single parent. Everybody wants to make money, but sometimes it is at the expense of the children's growing up and inculcating good habits, good attitude, manners, etc. All right? How many young men look at a good role model? We find sportsmen, you will find, all right now Pollard is the boss because he hit how much? 4 sixes in 1 over the night before everybody. You watch the game. Everybody wants to be a sportsman, but nobody wants to be a good principal or a doctor also, right? If you go and Google Sunil Narayan Worth, you see the sports car, and I'm talking about Trinidadians, I'm not talking about Virat Kohli and Messi and those kind of words they have. I'm talking about Trinidadian. Go and Google it and you'll see how much they worth. All right, so role models, teaching profession. When I was asked to come to this seminar, the officers are not calling him. They asked me, more males come in. I said, I will try, but I will bring my wife, who is a female. They said, all right, no problem. And look at it, it's dominated by females here. And it is young boys in problems, right? Dominated by females. So the teaching profession is dominated by over 75% females. So you have no or little male influence in the teaching profession. So from small, I remember, well, by now it might know as a teacher. The first male teacher a student had was when they reached in standard 5. The first male, and it was like a culture shock because it was female writer. Right, so we have to look at some of these things. Work ethics, I heard you talking about probation. We have a number of times the magistrate sending people to do community service rather than send them in the prison. As the young lady said, a minor crime teaming up with a hardcore criminal, they come out worse than they come out better. All right, because of who they were put with and who they were associated with. The community service, I'm not too sure if the follow-up is being done timely and correctly, because I had a youth where I had to monitor community service. He came one time and I didn't see him again. I know I'm taking too long, right? Education and literacy versus age and gender. You will find a polarization of a certain age with illiteracy. You will find that girls don't really get involved in the problem. I say that with a pinch of salt, yeah? Right? Because we're living in a man's world. A child will come home and they have so many other things to ride bike, play cricket, play football. What the girl has? She will take up a book, she will watch TV, and that's why the education system, girls excel more than boys. Because we living in a man's world. And then again, we provide our children needs versus wants. How many of us will give them a toy gun from small, but you wouldn't give them a book? All right? So we needs versus wants. And again, in our school system, especially primary school, the screening system, we don't have enough specialist school. And many a times, we take students who are slightly challenged, autistic, or dyslexia, and they come through the system and they move right up, passing the buck until they write SCA. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't get the name. Sir, what's the name again? Your organization, sorry?
Shahid Alam, representing Kunjal Community Council.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution and all your points well taken. Some of them, with respect to community stuff, we have to as individuals, and I can honestly say I would have loved to live in your community because you're forthcoming. It starts with every individual. So you are a mirror of that. And you're talking about role models. I am more than sure that men that you would have taught in your time teaching, because you said you're a teacher, I'm sure you remembered. I can bet my bottom dollar, if I go and I talk to a couple of boys who went to your school, they'll say, Mr. Yeah, I know him well. Because you can feel that energy in the little time that you spoke just now. And all I can say is that we need more of that. Being vulnerable, being vocal, speaking up. Everybody in each community needs to do their part. And that is where it starts. Things like this is a start. The conversation is a start. We can't fix it in a day. And everybody knows that. And I'm saying we because in this present moment, I am part of this panel and I have to speak on behalf of the panel. Me personally, I have to do what I have to do in my community, and each person here have to do their part as well. And I implore that you out there, this young lady here, she's doing her part. This is one person. We need to have voices like these echoed to encourage people to want to mirror what they see. And that is how I believe we can start to fix the problem. Because what you spoke about with the schools and all of that, those things are true, and these are things that we know. There are lots of children that get on the wayside because they might be struggling. And what we're not equipped with is evolution. What we would have done 25 years ago, a 10-year-old now is not the same 10-year-old from 1980. And that's fact. We can fight up all and say, them children this and them children that, and we don't own up and take accountability for the fact that things are changing. We came into a world of black and white television. I say we loosely. I mean myself. I can speak
Yes,
for the
yes.
people here. Some of you out there might never look at. I will say this. I have 3 girls. 16, 13, and 10. And I'll give you a quick story. My 10-year-old daughter. This is a real-life conversation. She asked me, when we communicate, I teach them when you're talking, when you're spending time with each other, we communicate with no device. When I'm having conversations with my daughter, nobody's allowed to be on their phone. She said, Dad, I need to talk to you. Listen to this. I am 27 years old. This is the 10-year-old. I'm 27 years old, and I'm at Massey, and I'm cashing out my groceries at Massey. She's giving me all these signs. Bloop, bloop, bloop. She said, and I stopped, and I started to play the flute. I said, what? He said, listen, I am 27 years old. I'm in Massey cashing out my grocery. Bloop, bloop. I stopped and I start to play the flute for the cashier. I said, you're not making any sense. Here, give yourself a round of applause. It makes no sense. Why am I taking a flute to school? That is the question she asked me. In her mind, at 10, you didn't hear? Let me say it again. My 10-year-old daughter said, Dad, I need to talk to you. We need to have a conversation. So I stopped and I'm attentive now. Listen, I'm listening to her actively. She said, picture me at 27, cashing out my groceries at Massey. Bloop, bloop. And I stopped and I start to play the flute. I said, what? She said it again. Bloop, bloop. I stop and I start to play the flute. So me now, being the dad, I say, hey, what you telling me, girl? We stop me for that and making no sense. She said, ding, 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 give yourself a round of applause. It makes absolutely no sense that I am taking a flute to school. And she's 10. You didn't hear the last part? Right, the last line, when I told her, what you're explaining to me makes no sense. She replied to me, Daddy, ding, 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 give yourself a round of applause. It makes absolutely no sense that I am taking a flute to school. On the curriculum at 10, they take a flute to school. So she was articulating to me at 10 why she believes it makes no sense, because she is thinking of herself at 27 in Massey, making groceries. Where am I going to use this flute in my life? This is what I'm saying this to say, we also have to understand that evolution is real. Because I can tell you this for a fact. When I was 10, I wasn't having a conversation with my mother or father, telling them, I don't want to take a flute to school. Right? Because we grew up in a time where, listen to what I say, do as I say, and not as I do. But then we expect our children now in this new time with everything else around, and you want them to be open. I could speak for me. I am raising critical thinkers. I want my children to be able to communicate properly, ask the right questions, and don't put themselves in a position, especially when you have daughters. So I'm raising critical thinkers. In the moment, I understood what she was saying. I then in return, had to have a meeting with the principal and say, listen, and try and find help now to articulate back to her why it is necessary. But it is not, we see some people will see that as defiance. And that is where we now, remember I said at the beginning, I am here today as a bridge. I believe my purpose in life is to be a bridge for many things, not only my personal life, because I realize there's a big disconnect in the now and the children that are coming. There's a big disconnect. There are a lot of adults in this space, I'm talking older people, who operate from a mindset of, this is what we did, this is what I do and you have to do this. Not understanding that the space has changed. And when I say the space has changed, that's why I make the comparison about a color television. I am telling you, there was an exercise that I was part of recently where you give a child a rotary phone and say, call. They don't know how to operate it. But we will look at that as you ship it out. What do you mean, pick up the phone and use it? You can't think that way because they have no idea of what's going on. Right? We are in a twofold. I was fortunate to born in a time when there was no internet, there was no pen drives, there were no cell phones, there were none of those things. But we all operate in that space now. How much of you all grandparents or great aunt just message you on WhatsApp and sell all kind of flowers and thing in the morning and good morning son and good morning? They are there now. But if they could do it, you understand? We too as older people have to understand how to reach them. There's a difference when you talk to someone or you talk at someone when you're communicating. And I think one of the biggest issues we are facing now with young men, which is what I work on, is how we communicate with them. There are young men right now in this space cannot stand and tell you good morning and shake your hand and look you in the eye and say, hi, my name is Michael James, pleased to meet you. They don't know what that is. Perfect example, look how mom this morning voiced what she had to voice, say what she had to say based on how she expected it should go, and she was right. I operate in a space where two things can be right at the same time. Because if we're being fully honest, I'm working with a program. If the program didn't have that on it, it's not on my mind. But at the same time, I respect that it's something that should be done, and immediately I understood and I adjusted, and in the next space, and if I'm being honest, mom, in the next space, you could have get pushback. Somebody could have been disrespectful. Look, woman, I don't care what you have to say this, why do it, and da, 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 da. But again, that is what, and this is how we have to be exemplars in what we're doing. And how you want to be treated is how you treat people. So immediately you have to adjust. This is what we need to teach. But we are operating in a space where we are, yeah, but just do it this way because that's the way, as I say, that's not how it always goes. There are times when you have to give grace and you have to expect some sort of patience and understanding. And having emotional intelligence as a human being in this space is very important. And it's something we have to say, you don't have to go to a university to learn emotional intelligence. You don't. It's something that you can teach yourself. It's just about being self-aware. It's about understanding somebody else's emotion, how to communicate them, showing empathy, and understanding that empathy is not sympathy. Two different things. All right? So somebody else, sorry for rambling, but I just wanted to get that point across. Because my goodly friend, the teacher, really sparked a nerve because I love how he spoke, and everything he said there was truth. Mm-hmm. Nothing he spoke was a lie, and I appreciate that.
God blessings. My name is Devon Keston Spencer, representing Prayer Network United International Ministries. We are a non-profitable organization that go into different communities throughout Trinidad and Tobago, specializing in reaching out the homeless especially. Besides that, trying to reach homes that in dire need and trying to develop community outreaches as we see the need. Having said that, now I'm a manufacturer with part the MIC, CCC, YTEP, and all those things concerned. I pass through all those things and it benefited me a lot. It benefited me a lot so that when I was out of one work, I was able to adjust to another work because I was certified AC technician, certified chef, certified electrician, and so on. Now, having said that, that's why I say young men need this program, no doubt. I'm 42 years of age. Around 5 years ago, I get pushed back, meaning I get injured. So all the practical stuff I can't do any longer because injury, I get electrocuted. Now, that is a challenge for me personally, no doubt. And as I try to battle with trying to get my health back in order, because I did develop more stamina, right now I thank God I'm able to stand before you all. Now because I could go around 8 to 12 hours now. Before, 1 hour and the rest is sleep. Plus my stamina wasn't there. Now those are the challenges some men might go through, meaning injury does happen, a lot of things that happen when time comes. But it's trying to bridge the gap from A to B in order to make sure that family provided. Thank God I don't have no kids, I have a wife. And thank God my wife patient towards me too. I thank God for my wife because she just pushed me. And that's why I even here today, when she get an email, I tell she hear this, tell them I coming. is important. So this program, this conversation is important. Now, we are new, we're trying to figure out what is offered out there where the community work is concerned. I was interested in, because the first time I hear about community services for probation persons, first time I hear about it, and first time I see somebody that's in charge of it, so it piqued my interest. Because I said we deal with the homeless on the streets. And one of my interests also beside the homeless is YTC, because there's a gap to be filled with they leave in YTC and coming back in the community. Because they're coming back without money in the pocket, they're coming back with going back into the same gangs that they're going to meet, they was involved in, and so on. So my question is, I want to know more about the community services, no doubt. And I want to know if there anything in the development without bridging the gap between YTC and the community, introduce them back in the community. Is there a hub?
Okay. So in terms of reintegration, right, what happens is, depending on the sentence, so for example, if we have a person, let's say that a child comes out of YTRC, right? If they are given probation, we now have to manage with what is going on with this child's case, all right? So part of that is not only community integration, it's family, because what is happening is that I'm going to be quite real with you. Sometimes the family is broken, and not like broken families as in like mommy, daddy, The parents are saddened because we have parents that say that, I do not know how to be a mother anymore, because the thing is, how am I supposed to love this child? This is the child that I tried my best with. I did everything that I was supposed to do with this child, and this child went and do this crime. How am I now supposed to go and visit this child in YTC? How am I supposed to now return the love? Because the thing is, the child may not have a father or may not have no other support. So now the thing is, the parent now has to now deal with their own emotions, saying that, well, guess what? I have to love my child because I have to love him. He's my child. But at the same time, I don't like what it is he did. And sometimes that is a difficult concept for some people, right? So sometimes, in terms of reintegration back into societies, we have to look for things for them to do. So we have to monitor. We have to make sure, even if they don't have something to go back and do, we have to monitor. We have to make sure they have other things. We have to do programs. So sometimes, community development had the Inside program. They had, we do thinking for a change. So we try to have people think about their actions before they do it. Because a lot of the challenges with our young persons is that they react because they don't stop and think. So we do those things. Particularly the community service is based on an alternative. So sometimes, for example, with adults, we recommend community service when it is, for example, is driving under the influence. We wouldn't want to give them probation because we said that, all right, we will leave that for a bit more serious crime. But you will give that option to children because, for example, we have children driving without license, driving without insurance. Sometimes that may happen. So you say, okay, well, we will have a space for you to place you in this particular place. Community service could be anywhere between 40 hours and 240 hours. All right? And you give them a chance. And once it is there completed, you do that. But what tends to happen, as my colleague rightfully said behind you, sometimes the monitoring is a bit of a challenge because in any given zone, you have 1 or 2 community service officers. All right? So sometimes there are challenges when it comes to monitoring. Right? And just to backtrack even to what my colleague was saying in the back there, it's always women. Social work, any social field is women. Right? There's a glass ceiling versus glass escalator. When a man goes into a woman-centric field, he will go up the escalator very fast. He will get promoted, whatever. So you might even see a man on the lower levels doing the social work or whatever it is. You will quicker see a lady. And that is the challenge that my colleague in the corner also has as well. Because it's from the child born, woman, 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 woman. How is he supposed to learn how to be a man? More than likely, because more than likely it's a single parent household they're coming from. He cannot do anything. How is he supposed to learn? Which is why, we ask you, when it is you're finished and stuff like that, take our pamphlets, take our cards, stuff like that. invite us whenever it is they're having meetings and stuff like that. Let's see what it is we can do. Because that is our purpose. And the difference here is that sometimes we get rubbed the wrong way because, you know, sometimes we get hoggish persons in our daily interaction, right? You will get them. No, you will, you know.
No, that's a fact.
Right? But the thing about it is, give credit where credit is due. Not everybody is the same. There are some persons out there who will try. Don't let the one-offs rub you the wrong way. Same thing with my colleague again with the police. Yes, in Trinidad as well. Sometimes confidentiality means I can tell one person at a time. But I don't mean that, hey, you know. Everybody does get on so. Same thing with the referrals as well too, because sometimes I know social workers, when it is they get a referral, they don't wait for it to go up to the ministry, you know, they know exactly what is happening, they start to work on it immediately. So there are persons out there who are helping, who are doing things in the background, but sometimes, you know, they don't like to say because, you know what, they be still very traditional. They want to block your blessings, they want to say these things, they want to put it out there, but they are out there, you know. Same thing with probation. A lot of people don't even know what probation does. But that's because we try to help and do as much as we can. Because sometimes, even when it is persons end up before us, so for example, like your colleague that end up in YTC, what does he do now? When it is we go through a needs assessment with him, his needs might just be, here's what. Similarly too, they go through the entire system, education, everything. They never had a birth paper. And I'm telling you for facts, I've had cases like that. Before we do anything else, we have to meet those basic needs. How could I try to meet your psychological needs and tell you about, mental and all this kind of thing, when we didn't meet your basic needs? So we have to know, we have to read the room. We have to say, well, here's what. You need work, you need to financially support yourself. Let's see what we can do, right? If it's trade, what skills you have? You have barbering, you have farming, you have these basic things. You know, I know somebody, let me do a yard work, but there needs to be a will to do that, because sometimes when it comes to persons, all right, I don't want to do this or whatever. So there needs to be a push and a pull at times, you know? And that's what it is we try to do, all the organizations actually, right? And we all try it.
There's one more thing. Forgive me. There's one more thing. Now, in our area, where St. Mary's Moruga is concerned, we try to reach out to the young men in the area, no doubt. Even, and the thing about it, where we say pushback, one of the young men who was sitting down and talking about reaching into the community, he and his daughter never get murdered. So it's like, you try to push, but there are elements out there that don't like what people do it. Now, my encouragement, I just want to put a pin for encouragement. No matter what we may face as an individual, keep pushing, because it's worth it. Where the community is concerned.
Yes. Just before, and I'll tell you quite quickly, as I was talking to my colleague here, my colleagues, even if it is you get one, start with the one, it makes a difference. Right? Don't be discouraged because these things happen. It will happen. But even if it is you get the one that makes a difference, to that one.
I would even want to throw in the mix the issue of being supportive wherever you are. So some people, depending on the levels of trust, they may reach out to you. You may say, what can I do as a woman to talk to these guys? But the fact of the matter, you have a voice that they're listening to. So build on that. And sometimes they would want to know that, okay, they can confide in you and you can now make a link. So you would now speak to the probation officer and say, come and have a conversation. They would never pick up the phone. They would never take the flyer and say they're reaching out. But because you are able to make that transition for them, it goes a long way. The other thing too is that understanding the persons involved. I'm glad to hear the conversation that persons are more than just files. Because in some spaces and some entities, there's a file, a name on a file, and they treat people like that. And what we really need to recognize that persons are more than that. And there are a number of issues, complicated, complex as the case may be, that surrounds the individual. I sometimes, driving through the street, I'm sure you drive through the street and see vagrants typical landscape and so. And it begs the question, how did he reach there? What was the support system? Was it a case of he smoked a little extra? Or was it a case of nobody to help out? Did he reach out to anybody? And what we are saying, yes, we might be able to lay blame in terms of the police and the whosoever the case will be, but what can we do in creating our own space where persons can call on us? And even if you don't have the answer, we might be willing to help. So that people know that we're in a position to make help another chance, so give you another boost as the case will be. Make one more example. I'm not too sure how many drivers of us, but we sometimes have big executive cars, but the battery going bad. And we need a jump start. And we need a jump start. And so you need someone at the point in time to give that jump start. Now, of course, you have the technology, and so my friends at MIC will tell you and so on. But sometimes that's necessary. They have so much potential, so much worth, because they're Audi and Mercedes-Benz, or the case will be and so. But you need a jump start. And there are a number of young men and old men in society who really and truly need a jump start going forward.
Now, many of the people that come to us are male. By the time we get them, we see the majority are male. And we try our best with them. We may not be able to fix all, but one is a success, and that person will go on to make a difference.
Yes.
And that person will influence another and another and another.
Mm-hmm.
So I endorse everyone who is here, who is trying, and just keep trying, and invite us into the communities, invite us to your youth spaces. And we will make a difference where we can.
And
Right, so
also-
just continue the conversation.
Pleasant good morning, teacher and everyone. My name is Fidel Adonis from the St. Madeleine Community Group, Village Council. I'm also involved in sports. I have my own football team from the academy straight up to men. And I just want to share my challenges. I hear what everybody have to say. And being a youth leader in the village, the problems we having is to get the parents out.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because we have the youths, and I ain't ponging no parents here. You see, because we can't do this by ourselves. And we had to look exactly what it was working for us before. And sometimes we just look at things and saying, well, yeah, what we gonna do now? But we had to look for what it was working before. And not everything was bad before to bring it to be present right now. And one of the challenges that we having is that we might call a meeting, and in the 3-4 teams that we have, we might get about 2 or 3 parents. And we will have certain things in school. We will be dealing with the schools, the PTA, everything, and we still have a problem getting the parents out.
Yep.
And we will find that why it is a young man have this attitude towards society and police and everything, but sometimes you'll hear a good child making a noise, going on in a certain way, and you hear the parents saying, hush your mouth, I'll call the police for you now. So therefore, we start to put something inside the child head from an early age that the police are bad. Bad something. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we look for all the bad reasons to calm the child because of the police. So for the child grow up in the area, is that police is a certain way, which is not. Because the police doing a great work too, you know. Because we are the police council, the police youth club.
Oh yes, community
and
police.
all the areas are dealing with the youths and things. And you find when the youths are reach a certain age of 15, 16 years, they're in a mind of their own. And we can't really touch them again because they feel that they know they have a lot of more ego than where we was at an earlier age because of this social media where we bring out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean to say we in Trinidad here and we might say we're going towards that era to the world, but we ain't ready reach that peak yet. And where before we used to do certain things with the Sunday schools and all of these things to get the youths and them to know, well, these are the youths and them who have challenges. Now the youths and them have an app to spell. We are the youths and them now really too proud to even get involved in certain things. And being a person in sports, I want to tell you this something is that somehow the youths and them really gravitate into sports no more because it's challenging to be a part of sports. You know?
Well, there's discipline in it. And, well, just to tell you about it, I would invite you not to stop because when it comes to men and boys, as everybody knows, men and boys, we do not know how to express ourselves, all right? Women mature faster than men. Women develop faster than men. We do not know how to express ourselves. So because of that now, how we express ourselves is through sports. So you see motion regulation, you need the sport. So you may not be able to say, but you will be able to do. So continue.
I am not into the sports. I'm just bringing it to the attention.
Yeah.
Exactly what's going on. Because in the clubs, you know, we have groups, we have certain things that we just do, you know, to bring the youths out, the young men out, how to speak, how to present themselves in certain ways and everything, right? But right now we have youths looking at the pan more than the sports. Because the way how society is right now, we have more sports clubs than athletes to join the clubs and them. Because where the talent used to be coming in, you really love until this and Madeline. I ain't calling nobody ghetto because I didn't meet everybody in the country, Trinidad and Tobago. It's not about Laventille, Beatom, or wherever, Trinidad and Tobago. You find that the youths and them more gravitate into that because they find the clubs and them is on money and really not talking about the youth's development. They're not really on the bigger picture here. Everybody's for a quick fix. Everybody's on a quick fix, right? And because of that, you find that it ain't working out in the long run. Because where we used to have the most talented athletes coming from the rural areas, now you have to have a big money to go behind your name with your parents to reach a certain level. And it ain't working. We've seen that from the national teams, the cricket, the football, and so have you. But the steel pan now you find is everybody coming, and it's easier. You find more youth gravitating to the steel pan than the sports. How is that? My point I was trying to make, I believe, is that to get the football teams and them really studying about the youths and the youth development, they're not willing to really go that direction deeply. And the next point I want to make is the communication. Yes, I understand that we have all these institutions more than before in Trinidad and Tobago that a youth could do some kind of skill, they could do some kind of thing, but because of the ego and the social media, the youths don't want that. They're not coming towards it because we ain't getting the turnout because the parents and them is not part of it. Once the parents and them could get the youths and them out the house is okay. Right? This is what I'm saying. Which is what I'm saying. Right? And because of the development with the football as the case might be, and the money part of it, everybody looking at the money part, but they're really not the communication somewhere along the line. It ain't reaching the youths because we have all these things in place and we don't have nobody following up. Nobody ain't taking the time out to really go and say, well, this youth from Laventille, this youth from Terradale, let me go and check the youth and understand how the youths and them really live in and understand the challenging of the youths and them. And if the youths and them find that you is up there and you're coming down to them, they really will relate to you. They prefer somebody who is from down them area, them level, that they could see eye to eye with, to relate to. They prefer that person to open up with, right? So I'm saying that we need to communicate more with the youths and them. We have all these programs, but we need people to follow up take time off from the high school and let we come down. Let we go in the areas because the teachers and them, they can't do much. They can't do it. And the village now, everybody's to themselves. So when you do something, you approach a youth and thing, you have to be that parent who the parent was not really there. The parents not there. They're just not there. And the things what they instilling in the youth and them from an early age, I mean to say it hard. And then the social media with it, it's hard. You're making the youth men and them with a lot of more ego, a lot of more pride, false pride, let's call it. And to bring it out of them, it's very challenging right now. That's my take for this. No, thank you.
The gentleman there on the mic here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lyndon Thomas, and I represent the Mayo community. I must say, firstly, this gentleman on my left here, in my opinion, has come the closest to kind of figuring out what happened. My background is 31 years in the military, with the last posting being at the Milat Academy, where I could safely say I learned more social work in 4 years than the rest. We as a society, in my opinion, has successfully dismantled everything that was working. I'll say that again. We as a society, a people, has successfully dismantled everything that was working. I could give examples. A simple thing as common entrance, as we know it back then, would have been you were recognized as not able to pass. You may have been given a second chance because of your age, but we would have known then what to do with you. You would have been directed early. Let me just go back to say that all the issues and problems is parenting, whether or not we want to accept it as parents or not. A child can come out of your house, whether you're single or two parents, come out a particular way, and then you saying, I don't know how he or she come out to. He wasn't raised by ghosts, so it's parents, and we need to accept that. Right? 99% of the time a child don't know what is good for him or what he needs. You do. And that's why you give them or you make decisions for them until a certain time. Now I was listening to hear from Mr. on the panel there what he told his daughter when she asked him if it making sense to go with a flute. And unfortunately, sir, no disrespect, but the answer wasn't what it should have been, in my opinion. Because you said to her, you need to seek a meeting with the principal. Yeah? You should have known before that why she needs to go with a flute. Because music also is a part of development. Whether or not the child sees that then as that, you will, because that is the period of change, you will go with this flute. And you will attend music because music will help you, it will develop you. It could end up in any form of sphere with music. Same thing with the app that he spoke about with maths or calculating. So many changes that was made. Back to the common entrance thing. I remember at the time it was politically correct to remove the fail from that. So we systematically decided that we would no longer leave it at 50% pass. And it was brought down to 30%. Remember that? 30%. And then we decided now that if that wasn't enough, a place for all. Think back. Remember that? Remember those statements? A place for all. So whether or not you pass, you would be zoned. But you're going. Now, if I know I'm going, whether or not I pass or I fail, why work? I will be zoned, I will go to secondary school, whether or not I could do the work or not. So now we have a whole age group of children who cannot do the work, cannot cope, and placed in a system now to cope or to try to. And they sit in class, totally lost. All it's left now to do is get trouble. We remove corporal punishment, so nothing will happen to me. I could do anything I want. They make suspension almost impossible, so I will still come. So every system that was in place to stop you from being or doing the wrong thing or what you think you could do and get away with it was removed. We systematically remove it. I'm listening to the panel and I'm hearing probation, I'm hearing the law is clear. And I may sound harsh, I'm not. I'm just real. The law is clear. If you transgress, there's something in place for that. We adopt all kind of words and systems from different countries and different places that is not original to us and our society here. So when we take something American and we put it in our system here now, where you're supposed to be punished, but that same thing that has been working is now too harsh for you. So we put you on community service and probation. And you, the child that did that, is expecting to be punished, because you knew it was wrong before you did it. So when I am now showing you that no matter what you do, I will try my best not to put you in the system, then why follow the law? If I may give an example, I was at the Milet Academy, and while there was not a strong policy for marijuana use. So cadets would bring it still. And when I reached there, I recognized that because the first day I was there was a cadet there with marijuana. So I was asking the soldier, I say, so what happened with he? Oh, you see me, I woke last night, I just want to go home. This is the man I taken over from, Say, okay. Took over. Immediately I sat down and wrote a policy on it because marijuana at that time was against the law. Having it in a school or in the vicinity of was even worse. So I gave instructions to the soldiers that anyone found with marijuana, just take them to the Maloney police station immediately. And in a forum like this, I told the parents before the kids came in what I would do. Cadets were there, parents were there, everybody knew. I hid nothing. So the first cadet that was found with that, a young man, extremely quiet, disciplined. You would never expect that from him. So they called me, sir, we find a cadet with marijuana. I said, so why are you all calling me? I told you what to do already. Took him to the Maloney police station, so the police called me. Say, Thomas, I'm going to give him a strong talking to. And when I done, I said, oh, I could do that here. As a matter of fact, I did that. I said, I sent him to you because I can't charge him. So they did. Took him to court immediately, and he was given community service. While he was at court, I called his grandfather who brought him on the program. Mr. came to the program, sat him down, I offered him a cup of tea, we make two and we sit down, sipping on it. So he came back. But just before he came back, grandfather broke down and he all on the ground crawling and crying. So the cadet came in time. Said, look how you have your grandfather. Take a good look. Look at him. He stood there. Mr. Gerp, he gathered himself and he left. And cadet left. He asked to come back and see me. Came back in and he said, sir, I will never come before you again for any drugs. Because he was on the social program for rehabilitation also. He stopped attending that. And Anderson never, ever, ever used marijuana again. He went on to graduate with 7 1s from Milet Academy. And he was immediately inducted into the regiment, where he came out as the best recruit. I gave him as an example to say, sometimes you need to stop somebody. Not slow them down. Stop him, because he can't stop himself. And when you stop him, he recognizes that everything that you say is the truth, meaning that I won't say I will punish him when it happens, I'm not doing it. He was stopped, and Anderson's entire life changed. I sometimes carry him to places with me when I'm going to try to reach out to young men. But the main reason is parenting. If parents are not developed or not strong or don't know why this is done or should be done, then they'll allow the children to question you. And if you don't have a reason, you're going to be found wanting. Now, nobody has all the answers or all the reasons, but you need to work on it and you think, daily think. This happened to me. My parents did this. Did it work? Did I benefit from it? Was it the best thing for me at the time? Could they have made it easier? I hear people complain about falling water and things long time, and you swear that they were almost slaves. But there was no other system but that. The pipe was out there and the water had to come here. No home had individual connection. How would you get water? You had to fall. And if the sun hot, you still need the water. But parents now seem to want to take all difficulty or challenges away from the children, thus crippling them and making them weak and entitled and lazy. And then you ask, how he come out so? How she come out so? Second chance programs. This country is filled with them. Many, many men. I see two things when I see it. I see a second chance, one, and I see a system acknowledging that the original system is failing. So we try to put something to catch you even though it have a hole in the net. I'm not saying remove it. I'm saying look at it from a different perspective. A second chance program is necessary now because of what we have created. Lots of holes in everything. Where now to ask a child to come in front of class to read, teachers tell you that's embarrassing, so they don't do it. So a child could pass through the whole system and not be able to read. And we just do like if we didn't know. So no, we don't embarrass children like that again. So I don't want to expose that weakness that you have or even work on it. So I prefer do like a don't know. I tried to donate a set of encyclopedia to schools in my area and it was refused. You hear what I tell you? Refused. I was told they don't have space. When I bought that encyclopedia for my children, the sales lady told me, she said, don't give them the CDs. Let them learn to read. We have accepted and adopted all the American ways with social media. We can't count, we can't read, we can't calculate, and everything prevents you from going into an exam with the same thing that we are allowing them to use in school. You can't go in an exam with a phone, a calculator, watch, or any device to help you calculate. So, tables is a no-no. People cannot count. How they will function? Everything is now a challenge in school. Last point I will make, as I am on discipline, because in my opinion, that's where it is. Without that, wasting time. At the Minot Academy, which I think is one of the best programs it have, they give everything. All your books, uniform, boots, book bag, everything. And in our lectures like this here, as the academic cohort chief, I am the person responsible for explaining the entire academy. So the last thing we spoke about, I let them know, if you cannot afford a bag, you just need to indicate a school bag, and one will be given to you. Because we don't understand discipline and we associate discipline with beating, but it's not. Discipline is routine, doing the same thing daily, so it becomes a part of your routine. You don't have to think about doing the correct thing. It is your routine. Part of the struggles that I saw with them is young men who are allowed to wake up at 4 in the afternoon, 12, 1 o'clock, now had to get up at 04 in the morning because that's the time your day start now. So it's met with a culture shock. Anyway, first day of school, same thing like we start here. We start with the anthem and the pledge, then a prayer. Because you'd be surprised to know how much people don't know the anthem or the pledge. Anyway, so after that is the inspection. And for that now, the entire staff is out there. Every teacher, every worker at the academy is out. So I glance down the ranks and I see 2 cadets standing side by side with a fluorescent orange bag and a fluorescent green bag. I spoke to the parents not even 2 weeks ago. I'm inspecting them, so I reach in front of him and look at him and say, "Let the corporal know, I'll see him in my office." No. Him too. We continue and we finish the exam, the inspection, and as I reach in the office, I tell my secretary, I say, "Take out 2 garbage bags from the locker for me." As they come in, let them know, empty your bags and take one of the garbage bags. But that bag is now mine. But I said, if it's seized for anything you seize, you get it back at the end of the year. So they come, they didn't give any problems. They took the garbage bag and they put your books in it and let them know, if you here to learn, you will learn from any bag. Right? This is the rule here, because a bag should be part of uniform. I look at the public schools and I just put my hand in the air, because a school bag is now $800 and parents get it for them to go with nothing in it. So who is that? The child or the parent? Anyway, cadets took the garbage bag and they left, went to school. Next day, I hear outside, "Yes, tell them I come from my bag." 2 parents come. I come to the office, make a cup of coffee and sat down. I heard what they come for already, right? So you know you're going to go through it now. I give them a half an hour to talk out. Then I let the secretary know, let them come. Let one come at a time. She walk in, drag a chair and sit down. I say, "Ma'am, at the academy here, wait until you're offered a seat. Because you recognize one time that she is not disciplined." So she couldn't pass it on to him. So I will show you now how it's done. Say, "You can have a seat." So she sat down. "Come from a bag." I said, "You left a bag with me?" "No, I hear when I take my side bag." I said, "Stop. Were you in the meeting when I spoke about that bag?" "Yes." I said, "What did I say?" So I'm putting her through it now. She explained, "Well, you said I take it." I said, "So what do you expect to happen now that you and him broke the academy rules?" "Well, I said would I give it back?" And I said, "Did that in the past." And the next day, the cadet came back with the bag again. I said, "So I'll see you with that bag issue at the end of the year." And as she leaving, I said, "If the lady outside come for that, you can let her know the same thing too." And they both left. Right? The parents have created areas and avenues for the cadets to take over. And I use the term cadet, but it's in every household. They have taken the power from you, if I may use that term, power. And now you have to work to get it back. And that is where the work is be about. The $800 bag and type of shoes and whatever it is you need, an iPhone to go to school and a $13,000 phone to go to school. So, in closing on my little statement, thanks to the time by the way and the patience, but we're looking in the wrong direction. Parenting, that is it right there. You is the person. Accept your role. Prepare yourself for the role, because you're not prepared. prepare yourself for the role, grow in your role, accept it, man up and be responsible. Right in Mayo, I sought some assistance and I got a young man to come on a Saturday with a chess club. So he's doing it free from 2 to 5. And nobody. One person, two people. And right at 5:15, you see the court filling with little fellas to play football. And it's clear that the parents can't even tell them to come. You can come and sit here and just look on, try to learn, and then go and play your football. But the parents are telling the children, no, the children will tell the parents, I'm not going to that. That's how it's running. That's how it's running. That's where we at. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, in the interest of time, we will not be able, as the saying goes, to dissect all the contributions going forward. I too have what is considered quasi-military background. To understand the importance of discipline, following rules, and so on. Functioning with youth also, we also understand the importance of critical thinking and having that conversation. So you have to be able to make that blend in going forward and understanding the situation. So I heard your scenario of bringing the young man to the police and of course being charged and so on. But I wonder if it was the charge, the implementation of the law that would have triggered the change, or was it the young man seeing his grandfather who may have tried, who may have been the father figure, who may have labored and seen what the action did to the grandfather that really triggered the change. What I'm saying is that sometimes we may look at the official, legislative, legal framework structure to bring the necessary result when that itself will fail. And therefore we have to be flexible enough in terms of having a different medium in terms of having the conversation. So I heard you, Pong, my colleague, in terms of the flute.
I didn't receive it as a problem.
Right, got you.
As I said, if you notice, I said two things can be right at the same time.
That's right.
I understand what he said.
Yeah.
With respect to discipline, it's like me. I have a slogan I tell my children. Practice makes easy.
Yes.
Right? That's why they have to make practice makes easy. Easy. That is why I make them make their bed every morning. Why? Because if you have a horrible day, when you get home, the joy of seeing a made bed eases the stress of the day. At the end of the day, everybody parent different. What I say at the beginning, too, if you hear, I said I'm a bridge, meaning I try my best to be that balance that you're talking about. My purpose, I believe, like I say, a man's, or a human being, two most important days of your life, the day you were born and the day you figured out what you was born to do. Unfortunately for me, I figured that out when I was 12. I've never had a job for anyone. I've always been self-sufficient. At the age of 13, I started selling dry goods in the market. And I came from a nuclear house. So my father was a reverend. My mother was a housewife. So I am not the typical, come from a broken home. I came from what we consider a typical, my father was a military man and a pastor, a reverend. I had a beautiful household, 3 sisters. Myself, I have 9 aunts. My world and life interaction on people is what we consider great. I made a decision. When I was 13, I wanted, and with the support of my parents, granted in those days, you mad, your child selling on the side of the road, my parents mad. But I am a living testament that I've never embarrassed my parents, I've never been incarcerated, I've never had any infractions with the law. And I consider myself on people, yeah, I'm not perfect, nobody's perfect, we all have challenges, but I wake up every day trying to be a better human being. You understand what I'm saying? So as much as, that's why I stop you when you say the word pong, because I don't want us to ever think for a second, when you're communicating, this is not a fight, this is not a battle, this is exchange of ideas and thoughts, right? He said what he said, and I appreciate that, and I too agree with the fact that that program is the best. I have encouraged real men in my community. I have 3 youth men right now going in my life, come from my zone, that I personally I was to do a radio program. One of the men who ran Milat at the time, I had a communication with him, and again, nepotism is a thing in this space. I make a phone call, I have 3 youth men I need you to help me with. And they got in the program, and I appreciate that. So let us understand that, these things are this is how you have conversation. We will never agree on all the things at the same time, but just as how we started in the morning, I try to lead by example on how you deal with things. I can listen, and we have to learn to listen actively. We have this mentality in Trinidad where you just listen to answer. A man says something, you just want to answer him. That's not how it's done. And also remember something that I just want to say this little thing. We have a bad habit. Oh, you're going, you're good. We answer for people. That is disrespect. If you ask somebody how you're good, then give them the opportunity to answer. True or not true, my friend? It's a formality. Don't go on. Correct. So I say, we can't get through all the things we need to get through in 2 hours in a room like this. But what it could do is plant a seed. What he's saying about discipline is about planting a seed in each, and every parent have a responsibility to do so. And it is okay to also ask for help. Remember, I am trying to parent 2 teenage and 1 daughters in this time in here, where bullying in the school space is not how it used to be long time. Long time in here, child getting bullies because they're meeting them by the thing, they're taking the marbles, they're eating them a clout. Now bullying is when your child is not in a WhatsApp group. Everybody in the school, 23 children in the class, 20 of them in one group, and your daughter and the next 2 children not in the group. So everybody decide to come to the school tomorrow in purple socks, and your child walk to school with regular thing and feeling left out. That is a form of bullying, and that's how it's done now in this new world. So we have to find that balance and find a way to let the both things marry. I agree with everything he said with the old ways, because I come up in the old ways. I come up in your grandmother telling you go on a greater because you're off. And I am not worse for it. But in this now time, I know I cannot tell my child go on a greater because I end up in the station. You understand what I'm saying? So anyways, there's some other things on the docket that we have to deal with on the docket. And this is something fun. I want to ask a quick question and see if you can, I know you want to say some words you were getting one time. There's some questions I needed to ask here. One of them is, on the southeast coast is the largest beach in Trinidad and a popular tourist destination. Anybody know where that is? Yeah? On the southeast coast is the largest beach in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's a tourist destination. Am I here? Yeah. Huh? Oh, the area? Yeah, look, you have it, Miaro. But seeing that you got it correct, you have the mic. Let's hear what you have to say. I have 2 more questions before we close, and it has no prizes at the end. I'm going to say that from front.
Tusa from the Union Hall Gardens Community Council, well established since 2009. Now I have to give you a little history of the area because the history is too long. Because we were enticed to go to form a new community, Union Hall. So we were told school and this and playing field, community center, all what is expected of a community. Instead of that, we have brick and mortar. Brick and mortar and a sloping piece of land, which is an insult to a child's intelligence and all. Because you can't do anything on that piece of land. That's our playing field. Okay? So again, I say, we hear everybody and we hear people talk. It takes a village to raise a child. Oh gosh, yes, we know that. It's the type of child that will be raised. That's the bottom line. You don't have the amenities. I say, and I keep asking, just do your part. So when we come here and we want to ask and talk about things, you could say, well, you have a center. How many of the people you all gather to get into that center to learn something or to help somewhere? We keep meetings in a garage. And you know what? The community development people bring a lot of people to the meetings because it is well run, the AGMs. Nobody here hand in pocket and all the nonsense, okay? So all I'm saying, build communities the right way. You give the amenities, and you can always be safe. You could say, hey, look, listen, you have this. Why is this community going on? And you have people out there from the community, the development area, checking, just make a pass by, see what's going on. So many courses. We have children now who have children and children, you know what I mean? Because they have all grown up. We have nowhere where I can't bring them in my house to talk and to help them. I don't know, they might be watching to see, all right, well, maybe we could pass back through and come through a different door, you know? Let us help. And I tell people, it's okay to become discouraged, you know. It's when we stay discouraged, stupidness happens. And evil happens when good people sit idly by and do nothing.
Well,
we want to build communities. All we ask of whoever is in control, put the amenities there. And leave it up to us. All communities want is a hand up, not a, well, I know. Union Hall wants a hand up, not a handout. Give us, help us, the courses, man. All we are asking you all to do is give us the amenities. Since 2017, they said the name going to go on a list of 100 community centers to build, and since 1999 we down there.
Okay.
All right. So with all this, I like how the guy spoke. You know, parents. Because the reason my father beat me and I ain't beating my child. These are the nonsense you had. That was the only thing your father knew. He only knew that way. You grow up, you went to school, you might have another way. But you don't just sit back and leave them to do what they want to do. And parents are doing this. I have 4 boys and I know it. Well, 4 I married one, but watching him, I am disturbed with him.
all right.
You know, so parents, we, some of us might be grandparents. Let's pass back on something. Yeah, they might tell you you're old-timeish and you're living in a bubble. I get it sometimes, but I say what I have to say. If I don't say it, they can't say, hey, you didn't know, you didn't listen.
Noted.
All right?
Let's look
All right.
at
Thank you. And one other thing, I want to come back to you when you tell the thing. You know what you should, she said music is the food of love, sweetheart. It helps you.
And that was
you know what my
also
son
said.
asked me a time? He said, all this set of subjects and all this thing I have, and I can't get a job that I really want. I said, could you imagine if you didn't have any, what you would have been doing? I said, thank God for that you have, that you could say you ain't getting what you want. But we need to have the education, and we need to have, this is what it is stated here, so you can move in. Because if you have nothing, you get nothing.
All right.
Have a blessed day, everyone.
You too.
And
all right,
community people,
Yeah, so what I was
Union
gonna say-
Hall Gardens Community Council.
We have heard the
Help
victory
us.
cry with respect to not only Union Hall, but even places where we have community centers and community spaces on a whole that needs refurbishment. So this is not the forum in terms of really addressing that or the case may be, but you had your colleague even behind that says there is a football field and nobody showing up. So the presence of physical structures or amenities would not guarantee in terms of having, let me finish please, would not guarantee in terms of the success. A lot of people would, what would want to do now is even there's something called asset management. What do you have in your community that you can use? Okay, you've been crying out for a community center since 1910. The authorities in the particular area have not responded. But what can we use now? And that's the conversation that we may need to have in terms of going forward. Because I can tell you, left up to me, I would take some community centers from certain places, rip it out, and carry it, and so because they're not maximizing the use of the place and so. So I can appreciate that, all right? However, dealing with the reality going forward, this is where we could look at and bring in the resources to see what can we do to make our space better. I understand.
Our meetings in the garage. We have meetings in the garage.
Well, actually, even
with all that, we have things on the field. I'm sure if we get somewhere where we could call home, everybody will come to you and
and of course we welcome that. Just on the note also, even with my history in community development, some fantastic projects have taken place by garages, by sheds, by somebody's house, by the tree. Normally, I remember in a community in St. Victoria East, that was the meeting place. It was known as a temporary meeting place. When we went to the meeting, it was a shed. But that's where they congregated to plan things, have things roll out and so on. So it's not making an excuse in terms of staying in a particular discorder. What we are saying, be innovative wherever we can and maximize on the resources that we have until better can be done.
All right. I have one more. Let me ask the next question. This town is the epicenter for stick fighting and it's part of our carnival celebration. What town is that? Huh? Let me read it again. This town is the epicenter for stick fighting. Right. Maybe my mic like it not loud, so let me hear it. Any problem? Look, I'm giving you an easy one here. This one easy. If anybody get this one wrong, walk home. This second city is the administrative and trading center for the southern half of Trinidad.
Oh, wow.
All right, yeah, San Fernando. Once I say second city, you're supposed to I sell it out at the second city.
Mr. Calendar, yes, if I can have a moment. I know that we are finishing up now, but as the supervisor of the Victoria East and West Administrative District in Community Development, this morning we heard a lot from ALTA and probation, and I felt that we did not hear enough from MIC as to how we can get involved in their programs, person sitting here or even for others. So if you can just maybe in a minute or two, Mr. Mohammed, tell us a little bit about MIC and how we can get our men involved on second chances. You can have your seat, that's fine.
No, it's okay. I prefer vice time, you know that. You know that. I have heard so much here today, sir. Wow. It's overwhelming, actually. But there's so much we need to do for our society here. My friend here, Mr. Thomas, congratulations, sir. Both of us went to the same school, Princestown Junior Secondary. Very good. It's amazing to see that you did well. Now, training has changed, and you know that. Back in the day, we had apprenticeship. Apprenticeship was what he did. Right? It was what he did. And if you came late, you go back home. Right? Unfortunately, education has changed. And my friend from Kunjal, the educator, our hands have tied a bit because I cannot do what you do. If I do that, I get sent to the office. All right? Most I can do is send them for counseling. because the people that are making the decisions are out of the universities and they're bringing it from North America and Europe. So you're right, we have dismantled some. But there is still hope, and you did speak about second chances, and this is where MIC and other institutions like ours come into play. And we accept a lot of people from the system, you would know that, right? And we provide many different courses, right? So I am here to say to all of you, because all of you are caring people, that's why you are here. So congratulations and give yourself a round of applause. And all of us need to continue doing what we do, otherwise our society would just fall. So what does MIC offer you? We offer you skills training, and that is what you probably know, but we offer a lot more than that. And my friend from MILAT would know something called President's Award. We also offer that at MIC. And what does that offer you? All of you, every single one of you who are community service representatives. Young people do several things. They learn skills. We do that at MIC, but we do more than that. They have to do sports, right? To get this medal from the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, right? You must do some sort of physical activity. You must do community service. Whether it is helping granny get groceries or cutting the neighbor lawn or whatever it is, right? So it's a well put together, this thing called President's Award, and it is at MIC as well, but there are other institutions offering it. But at MIC, you can do welding, you can do electrical, you can do food and nutrition, right? You can be a certified electrician like my friend here. You can get a new future if you want it. So all of you here who are community service providers, just need to continue doing what you're doing. Come to us, bring your people, right? And we will try our best. Unfortunately, we are tied by curricula, which was mentioned, because the curricula has been changed over the years by people who are making decisions, and they are not seeing what's happening on the ground. I cannot change that. But together, and I applaud the initiative, we have a voice. And somebody is going to listen somewhere, so that all of us somehow can make the difference. So I won't take much more time because we're way over 12. So thank you, and you can contact us at MIC. You can go on our website. You can call any one of our 15 centers, inclusive of Tobago, and we will be there for you and the community. Thank you so very much. Sure.
You have persons who are skilled, whether plumber, electrician, or the case to be, but they're not certified. Can they come to MIC, do a program, and become certified with the skills that they have?
Of course. So what's the theme for today? Remind me, please. Supporting young men.
Yeah.
So yes, they can come with the existing skills, and we can test them and have them certified. That answers your question, or you? Right. So thank you for bringing that up. There are many programs available at MIC, but our main supporter is Government of Trinidad and Tobago, and most of our courses are gate funded. We also have social programs for some of the guys and girls, let me put it like that, the young people who may not have passed those exams that we spoke about, whether or not because they had a literacy problem or some other social problem at home. We have social programs for them. We might be able to even provide transport. We might be able to provide you with a stipend. And in some instances, you also receive a meal as well. So the support system is there. We just need to get the young people there, and we take it from there. I do apologize, ma'am. I know we had the center there. Unfortunately, that decision was above our level. However, I will ensure that your message goes to the people, all right, that needs to get it there. And part of the HYPE program, we do provide, in some instances, transport. But I know Moruga had a center, And I know it was close. We do apologize. Unfortunately, it was above our pay grade.
I would also want to comment. I had a conversation with someone only yesterday of a location of one of your centers, but the participants in the program were not coming from the community, were coming from outside of the community. So that's what you're saying. Sometimes we have programs ready there for persons to capitalize on, to make good use of, and people from outside the community come into the community and benefit from it.
It is a fact. One of the programs for which I am responsible, I have people from as far away as Grandy, Arima, and Mayaro, right? Because they are there to take advantage of the opportunity, right? So community workers, and I know Mrs. from Pleasantville, you have to play your part in lobbying people like myself and center coordinators and managers to ensure that you get your people a quota inside at least. Yes?
Yes.
That's right. Yes.
Sealots, John, Duncan Street, Peter, Nelson Street, right? And they be like, you know what, people come in this area and do programs and them boys never stick behind them because a lot of people make promises. They stay probably 2-3 months, gain whatever they could gain, and disappear. I also coach football. I fall out with all the youth groups because when they want talented players, they come into the area, they get them, but when they receive barrels and tokens, we don't get anything. So the people who are doing the groundwork are the people that are passionate about it, but the people who are being paid for it just there. And a lot of people don't respect that. So we find, like the gentleman in the back was saying there, which I agreed with, you see youths turn into other things. Because when Marshall Cedinho is one of my personal friends, when we were having conversations before, you want to know why youths not so interested in the sports anymore. And because you see men playing for professional football clubs, and then when you look at their lifestyle, they're still struggling.
Yes, because part of the things youth needs is recognition.
Yeah.
And they also need to be rewarded. So I'm saying this so that this message can go to the relevant people, so that things can be put in place, not just to recognize youths, because some of our sportsmen and women are doing quite well on the outside, right? But the people who help it make it happen.
They don't.
The people who don't get paid, sir, right? And all of us here do it because of the passion that we have.
Correct.
And the love for people, right? And the love for people, and that's why we do it. We don't really look for pay. Right? So there's a disconnect. There's definitely a disconnect.
Right? My goodly friend in the back mentioned about parenting. And also, we have to remember, positive reinforcement is the thing as well. Right? And a simple thing like, I work with boys, and it's sad when you ask them, when last have you heard congratulations? When last have you heard congratulations? Or good job? We have a habit of not expressing those things to our children. And that too causes all of the issues that we face, because these young men, validation is not always monetary. To tell a child, I come out and see you play today, but you're real young, is what that will help motivate that child to want to do more. Granted, we see these children, and yes, they see the things on social media and they want all the riches and the fortunes or whatever, but it really starts with that first congratulations or good job. We have to get in the habit of telling our children good job and congratulations and a little I love you. Yeah. Remind them that you do love them. Even in disciplining a child, they have to understand that it's coming from a place of love. And when we say love, like I was talking to my friend earlier on, we have this crazy misconception, especially amongst men. When you hear love, it carries a sexual connotation. It has nothing to do with that. We can love each other.
That also stems from the fact that if your son falls, what is the first thing you tell him?
Yeah, don't cry or shush up with mom. Again,
raise him.
But these are the things we have to unlearn. That's a whole different topic, right? But again, we are the end. There's so much other things we have to do, but we just couldn't. All right, 1 minute's fine, yeah? I'll give you that. Hold on. Just now, let him, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, yep.
Pardon?
Go ahead now, yep.
Go ahead. So we have our Alta community classes that are free, and we have venues in several areas. We have our classes at community centers, libraries, schools, and churches. Pardon?
Okay, and is it...
And we
that is
also
face-to-face,
have our
right?
virtual classes. They are also free. All our students pay for is their book, which is $20. Classes are taught 2 days a week, 2 hours a day.
All right. Well, I was a part of the Ministry of Works and Transport, URP.
Yes.
And it was virtually.
Right.
And we had much challenges. They
know.
preferred face-to-face.
Right.
And even if they went to the library, it was computer. So if I am illiterate, at one time I was afraid to put on a computer.
Yes,
So-
those are some of the challenges some of our students have. So we have an assessment book that we have our students do, and that will tell us their literacy level, and then we place them in the level depending on what they can do, right? So that is one way for us to gauge our students' literacy level. Our Alta Online program really is for individuals who cannot access our community classes or who have challenges having devices. And at the ICT centers where you will find our Alta Online program, we have mentors there who can assist the students.
Because I think we used to communicate.
Definitely.
Right?
Yes.
And when I asked about the Alta, you told me, well, it's $2,700. The person will have to pay.
So the Alta Online is a digital platform, and it is a paid program, right? So individuals who want to access the Alta Online, they will need to call our office and get more information on that. Right now we have a Java sale that is on, and the Alta Online program is half price, $30 $300 that goes till the end of September. But the Alta Online is a paid program, but you can access the free programs in our community classes as well as our virtual classes.
Okay, because you know the challenges with URP.
Yes.
Some of them was near to retire. I don't need to read and write again. I go in and retire.
Yeah.
Well, some I used to tell them, will come in my office and use the computer, but...
So we can definitely talk about some of the challenges that the students are experiencing, and we can have a conversation with our user support team to see how we can assist the students in situations like that.
Gisela as well is one of the persons.
Yes,
who
I
are
spoke with
dealing-
her earlier this morning. She was the first person who came and shared some of the challenges that they had.
Okay.
Yes.
And my son is a product of MIC. And he didn't ask to go there. I gave him the form and I told him, choose what you want to do.
Nice.
Parenting.
All right. And guys, from my understanding, there's brochures, there are people, we're ending now, but if you need to talk to anybody, you can feel free to walk up to any one of the panelists and have that personal conversation. If you didn't want to speak in front of everyone, you could feel free to ask questions as we come and wrap it up. I want to thank the ministry for the initiative, and thank you for having me. I hope that the conversation was insightful. And as I said at the beginning, everybody can leave here with a sense of knowing something that they didn't come in with. All right, so once again, I want to thank everybody for showing up, and hope you all have a safe and blessed afternoon. Get to wherever you're going safely. All right, thank you so much. Huh? Oh, the family. Oh, wait, 1 second. No, I was getting a wrap up from behind her, that's why. A place of interest. All right, is there a photograph of it that you can put up on the screen by chance? No, on screen, right. Right, it's called the Farallon Rock. Right, listen to this. Let me give you all an interesting story about the Farallon Rock. And well, you all know where it's located. Is it not the Farallon? Farallon Rock, right, is on the coast of San Fernando near the water taxi. One of the earliest known memories of the Farallon Rock was documented by Charles Kingsley, an English author and academic, in his book, At Last, a Christmas in the West Indies during his journey to Port of Spain, to San Fernando. From Port of Spain to San Fernando, Kingsley noticed the unusual sight of the stack of rocks rising from the sea. And what you all might not know, this historical mark was owned by prominent families in San Fernando. And anybody here can help me? Leonard Manning. Do you all know a Leonard Manning Hobson? That was the first family that, well, it's Leonard Manning Hobson, right? And over the years, it changed hands, and up until 1970, it was owned by the Mukond, or Munok, or Mukond, however you want to pronounce it, family. And it was used as a restaurant, it was a place for parties, and all of that. Yep, it was. And also, yeah, apparently people used to party there in the 70s. I wasn't born yet, sorry. I never party in it, but apparently you could have used it as a partying place back in the 70s, which would have been grand. Seeing the location now, I'm not too sure what they do with it now. Anybody can say? What? This is in the new sense, in the now. All right, so this is how it is right now. I guess people that fish. All right, people that's fishing now. So in case you didn't know, so again, so you left here with some new knowledge. If you didn't know about MIC, you know what MIC can do for you, your family, friend, and neighbor, anybody in your community. You also know, we learned about probation, which if I'm being honest, I had no idea that we had probation in Trinidad today. I'm being honest. I didn't know there was a thing. I always know about ALTA because I worked with them indirectly before. I help a lot of people go to ALTA. And of course, the Ministry and Community Development, as much as we try to bash politics, bash government, there are programs available and readily available for everybody. And as I know my goodly lady here is looking for a community center since 1999, hopefully you will get the support that you need so that wherever you meet will be fine. And we also learn about the Farallon Rock, which I had no idea about. I had no clue that it was a restaurant. And then it turned to like a partying venue. Now this is what it is. But now at least we learned something today. So once again, thank you so much and congratulations to the ministry on this initiative. And thank you for having me on this indoor. And I hope to meet again somewhere with some more positive information. So get on safe, everyone. Thank you so much.